Hello and welcome to another coaching conversation with Dawn Campbell, and this time I'm with Maura Dolan, founder and CEO of Life Executive Coaching Institute, LECI as it's known for short. So good morning, Maura, how are you?
Morning, Dawn. I'm very well, thank you, and delighted to have the opportunity to chat with you. And how are you?
Yeah, very good, thank you. Looking forward to getting to know you better, which is the whole point of this series of coaching conversations, to put a face to the name of the CEOs behind our accredited training providers. So we're going to dive straight in because we've got lots of questions. So first, perhaps you just describe your journey from where you were, perhaps in a corporate background, to how you became a successful entrepreneur of a training school.
Okay, interesting question, Dawn. Started a long time ago. I worked initially in a state organisation here in Ireland, in Dublin, called the IDA, the Industrial Development Authority. Worked in the legal department. Was doing well, usual thing, going up the corporate ladder, but at some level knew there was something that just wasn't really long-term resonating with me. So I suppose kind of two things happened simultaneously. I started working with a small industry company, startup company, who was installing computer software and delivering training to its clients. And I suppose as part of delivering the training, I began to realize it was something that I really engaged with and really enjoyed doing. And that came in my first bite, I suppose, facilitation. And at the same time, I was also doing some voluntary work with an organisation, a charitable organisation. And in their volunteers room, I saw the sign one day for a coach actually advertising their services. Okay. This was now about 15, 18 years ago, maybe. And it's the first time in Ireland I'd ever heard of the concept of a coach. But it was like a light bulb moment for me, and that I knew immediately it was what I'd wanted to do. I had a year before that done a one-year foundation course in counselling, had enjoyed the skill set, but again knew I did not want to go into counselling as a profession. So when I saw this introduction to coaching, or this person advertising the coaching service, I thought, that's it, that's the fit for me. So from that I went off and I started training as a coach, building up my own personal coaching accreditation, and also building up my own training accreditations as well with yourselves. I think it was the ECR was at the time. I can't remember what the original name of the organisation was. And then it became the IAPC&M, and now it's the organisation as it is today, the IAPC&M. So I started building up my training accreditations, building up my experience, and also continuing my own education within the whole remit of coaching. Did a coaching qualification, then did another coaching qualification, then did another coaching qualification, started to deliver training in the arena of coaching, got a break with an organisation, which I won't even go into now because it take too long, was kind of my first break into facilitation. And that gave me a step in the door. And from that, I began to build up both my training programs, and also out of that, then I began to get requests to go in and coach people within the organisations where I was delivering the training. So I suppose it was a kind of a unique opportunity for me to be able to do both the training facilitation, and also develop my executive coaching training, rapport, a repertoire at the same time. So that's really how I got going, Dawn. And
it was quite unique, wasn't it? Because I mean, you were a pioneer, not just for Ireland, but for the UK, because 18 years ago, coaching was pretty unheard of.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely. I would probably been one of the first here in the Irish marketplace. And, it was just good timing, I guess, and a hunger and enthusiasm and a total love and passion for what I'm doing. And I think that's probably one of the most energizing things about the work I do is I get excited every time I think of going out and working with a new cohort of people from a training point of view or from a one-on-one executive coaching point of view.
So getting that facilitation opportunity was the catalyst for you to become somebody who wasn't just a coach, but actually thought they would train other people to become coaches as well.
Absolutely. Okay. Yes. So it worked well for me, Dawn. It really did.
Yeah. So when you were advertising your own coaches, how did your own coach course training? How did you get your first clients? How did you raise your profile? Because there must be people listening who think, I want to aspire to what you've achieved, but but how do I make that transition from coach to training in coaching?
Yeah, an interesting point. I guess my first break probably came through an organization I approached when I was building up my licensing hours for coaching. I approached this organization who helped people return to employment, and I asked them would they be interested in me coming in and delivering some pro bono workshops to their to the people on their courses. And it was funny, I met a very, very nice guy called Andrew, and he invited me in for a chat. We had a chat, and he said, look, come in and start delivering your courses here, which I did. So, and I was going to do it on a pro bono basis. And unfortunately, for insurance purposes and all sorts of things, we're going to actually have to pay you, which is an absolutely fabulous break. So that was kind of my first start, I guess. I started going in there and delivering those training programs with this organization. And from that began to build up my, I suppose what we would say, my client base or what. So then a number of people from his organization actually came along and attended and completed my course as well, and kind of, you know, began to snowball from that. So small beginnings, and just took a lot of time, Dawn, a lot of energy, and I was very
sounds like it was meant to happen the way you describe it.
Sorry, Dawn.
It still sounds like it was meant to happen the way you describe it. It's almost like there was lady luck on your side.
Absolutely. Well, I think you have to take a couple of these breaks when you get them done, and can be lucky or unlucky. Absolutely. Yeah. But
so what are the skills, the particular skills or strengths that you think you need to have to pursue the route that you've gone down, Maura?
Yeah. Personally, for me, determination, I think, is absolutely the key one.
Yeah.
You have to really be prepared to work hard, to push. I mean, I know myself, even when I started training first, the amount of hours I put into familiarizing myself with the content, pulling the content together, developing my own skill set. It was continuous reinvestment in myself and in courseware, you know, and developing my, I suppose, my client base and everything. So determination to me probably is the key piece to it, to be honest with you. That, and I think the other very important thing is really enjoying what you're doing, Dawn. And, you know, there's a famous psychotherapist and executive coach, Eric Tahan, and he will say that you can have all the skills and all the tools in the world, but at the end of the day, it's the quality of the relationship with your client that counts. And I really believe that's important, Dawn.
I think you're right. Determination, having a leap of faith, the confidence to just keep going. But people don't realize that when they become self-employed, they probably work far more hours than they ever did corporately. But as you say, if you're enjoying it, a bit like Nick Williams says, you know, do the work you're born to do, and you'll never work another day in your life because you love it. But when things get tough, Maura, how do you stay motivated?
I suppose I would make sure I have a good support group around me. I would connect with a lot of very like-minded people, like-minded coaches. I go to supervision, Dawn, which I think is very important as well. And, you know, I suppose I would have done a lot of work in terms of meditation and, you know, self-management, skill sets like that I have found very important. And really, for me, I suppose what I always remind myself is, if I can't do this for myself, if I can't remain optimistic, which I think is a hugely important emotional intelligence skill anyway, if I can't remain optimistic in the face of adversity, how can I expect myself to be able to coach other people to do the same thing? So, you know, you have to keep reminding yourself of, you know, really that's sort of an important factor, I think.
It sounds to me like authenticity is very important to you.
Absolutely.
Walking the walk. And it's interesting that you mentioned two things there that I picked up on. One was self-care, the importance of self-care. And the second was the importance of the support network. So having your own coach, mentor, supervisor. Most coaches and mentors and trainers that I speak to seem to neglect those two areas of their life quite easily. They get very pushed down to the bottom of the priorities. And I think a lot of people don't realize the importance of having that support network or that self-care. So you said meditation, which I also agree with. Meditating. Is that a big part of your practice?
It would be for me personally, in that I would, I would have did a meditation course a good while back, a number of years ago, trained to meditate myself, and I would certainly use it myself as part of my daily support routine. Yes, I would also tend to, when I'm working with a group, even lead off when I get a group settled in and comfortable with each other, and that they feel they're familiar with each other. I would introduce the idea of doing literally a 1 or 2 minute meditation at the start of each course day. And again, it is a skill set that people, when they begin to engage, begin to understand the benefit of it.
I think that's beautiful. And certainly if I was looking for a course, that sort of thing would make me lean towards that course. Mm-hmm. That sort of spiritual side that just says, take a deep breath, relax into the here and now, and before we begin what we're going to begin. So I think that's really lovely. In terms of advice, if you think back at all the people you've had in your support network, who has given you the best piece of advice, and what was it?
Gosh, that's a really interesting question. Who's given me the best piece of advice, and what was it? I would have to think about that, Dawn. What would it be?
Also, if you'd had it earlier in your life or your business, how would it have impacted or made your journey easier? Does that help?
Yes, that actually certainly does help. And would you believe it? It's funny how it came to me, Dawn, because I'm studying psychology at the moment. And my son actually did the same psychology course as me, except he was a year ahead of me. So he qualified last year. I'm due to qualify this year. And last year, when I was really struggling, absolutely, totally struggling with just particular assignments that I was faced with doing, he said to me, Mum, Mum, out there in the world, you're not the only snowflake. Every single one of us have our struggles, and I'm struggling with my course as much as you're struggling with your course. And it's important to remember that, your struggle is not unique to you. We all have our challenges and struggles. And, I think that was a huge insight, really, in terms of, we all think that our challenges are the greatest challenges in the world, but really we all face challenges every day of our lives. And perhaps it was just the reminder of that was, I thought it was absolutely key.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I mean, it's very sort of almost Buddhist-like, that we're no man is an island. We all are interdependent. We need each other. And to think that you're an isolated snowflake out there is ludicrous. Of course, we've all got our struggles. So I think also that fits in with what you were saying about having the support network, because there will be times of struggle. There will be times where you're thinking, is this the right path for me? Or am I ever going to fill my workshop with, students, etc. You've got to have that determination and that belief to keep going. So, okay. So, just a quick couple of fire questions. How do you spend your me time other than meditating? What would be your thing that would bring you joy and de-stress you?
Oh, okay. A number of different things, I guess, Dawn. I'm very much a people's person. Love absolutely being around people. So engaging with people, going out socializing is hugely important to me. Connecting with a wide circle of, professional and personal friends. I would certainly still be in contact with people who, attend my training courses, who I coached for going back years and years and years. I'd still keep in contact with people. That, and then I suppose the other thing that's very important to me is physical activity. So I would be very much into physical fitness, spinning classes, play a bit of golf, doing challenges. I've climbed Kilimanjaro, lots of different things like that have kind of, I suppose, pushed myself, but also keep me physically fit. Again, I'm a great believer, Dawn, physical fitness leads to mental well-being, and the whole thing is connected. And, when you're working with people at a senior executive level, again, having, I suppose, the stamina and, having the, feeling good about yourself and your whole mental well-being being intact is very, very important. Because again, if you're not in a good place yourself, how can you possibly work with people to help them through their challenges?
No, you're absolutely right. Okay, so moving forward, describe for us what your legacy will be.
Yes, my legacy will be to know that in some way I've made a contribution to help people to perform better,
Mm-hmm.
To understand themselves, and as a result to in themselves make a greater contribution to whatever it is that's important to them.
Mm. Okay. So what is the greatest gift that you think people can give themselves on their journeys?
I think the greatest gift is to be good to yourself, and to be kind to yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and to look after yourself, look after your mental, physical well-being.
You sound like you've got the work-life balance thing really sus, because I know you're an incredibly busy lady. You're a perpetual student and you run courses on your business as well. How do you fit it all in?
Uh, no more than yourself, Dawn. Just, I don't know. I think it's because my work is something I really, really enjoy. And of course there are challenges, and of course there are times where the balance can go, out of kilter or whatever. But I think, I just so much believe that if you don't look after yourself,
Yeah.
you're no good to anybody. So that's probably my starting point for everything, to be honest with you, Dawn. Making
Well,
sure
if
that
you could
I'm
just give a quick overview then of what people can expect, because I think I've learned a lot from you in this last 20 minutes or so. But what can people expect when they come on your training courses?
Okay, so on my training courses, a good question. I would very much describe it as being in two parts, Dawn.
Mm-hmm.
So the first part would be people coming up to speed very quickly in terms of core basic foundation coaching skills, going through, from your grow model through to your listening skills, your questioning skills, really drilling down in those, doing a lot of hands-on practice to really embed those skills, understand concepts such as belief systems and value systems. And I think once you've got that really, really well grounded as part of your course, and people are getting the opportunity to practice those skill sets a lot, I then move into working with them on a much deeper level, which would be around the emotional intelligence level, understanding personality types, how the whole brain, the neurological side of the brain works from a coaching point of view and from an emotional engagement point of view. And then also look at pieces around the difference between a mentor and a coach, skills around mentors, and how you transfer your coaching skill set into a mentoring relationship. So that would be kind of a very broad overview, really. Lots of other pieces thrown in there as well, of course, but that's a broad overview of the, I suppose, the key skill sets.
Okay, lovely.
Take on board.
Sounds really great. So just remind us of the website where people can go and find out more about you and what you offer.
Sure. So the website is www.lecci, that's LECI.ie, www.lecci.ie. So it's Life and Executive Coaching Institute.
Excellent. Last question, Moira.
Mm-hmm.
Dead or alive, who would you have loved to pick their brains?
Nelson Mandela.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure meeting you, and I look forward to learning more about your courses over the coming year.
Thank you, Dawn, and a pleasure talking to you as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye now.